over under 1.5 1,000-yard receivers for the Cleveland Browns.
I'm going to go under.
I too am going to go under, partially because of the things that you just mentioned. We have a new stud tight end coming in who played great until he got injured last season. Caught 700.
You love hoop.
I'm a big hoop guy. I was a big hoop guy going into the season. Wrote an article on it for Corner Sports actually, like last August.
Sure did.
So you have that coming in, and that's going to take a lot of yards. And like you mentioned, we have a coach who favors the running game and the tight ends. I think that's going to take a huge chunk. And it's not like we had two receivers who had like 1,500 yards or 16. Jarvis had like 1,100, and OBJ barely scratched 10. He had like 1,080 or something like that. So
Jarvis Landry had 1,174. OBJ had 1,035.
I think you take
the
all
quietest 1,000-yard season I've ever seen.
Well, and not only that, with OBJ's performance last year, I don't know. I don't have numbers on this, but I just from watching games, there were balls. I've never seen him drop as many balls. Obviously, when he was in New York, it's hard to make that statement because I didn't watch every Giants game. But it is one of those things that, I watched him last year, and I'm like, if he doesn't get any better, I don't see that happening on his side. If anything, I would say the two most likely to achieve it are going to be your boy Hoop and Jarvis Landry, if it happens.
So you don't have any faith in Beckham for this year?
I've never been the biggest OBJ guy, but it definitely doesn't. We were down a lot last year and needed to throw the ball. He wasn't there a lot. That's why he barely scratched 1,000. Don't get me wrong, 1,000 yards is a lot, and it's plenty, and it's a great receiver year. I get that. But we threw the ball a lot. This year we're not going to. I can't imagine that he is going to, and I really hope I'm wrong. And I think all of us sitting here hope that the over actually happens. But whatever helps the team win, I don't really give a shit. But overall, I don't see it. Odell even getting 1,000 yards this upcoming year. I think it's going to be a Stefan Diggs situation where he's gonna have to come out and say something, and I don't know. I hope that maybe Stefanski has learned not to make the same mistake twice when you have talent like that, but we will see.
See, I think so. You would say Jarvis will have 1,000, but not OBJ. If you had to,
if I had to pick one to have 1,000 yards this upcoming season, I would pick Jarvis over OBJ, and I may be alone there.
So I would go the opposite route because I think they're going to be more methodical in the passing game this year because I think Stefanski knows that he has a wealth of weapons, and he doesn't need to. You saw how many throws were forced to Odell last year.
And maybe that's why I have the bad taste, because a lot of them were, but there were a lot that were dropped, like literal drops, hitting the hands, and didn't catch them. I'm not saying there was, that he was the worst receiver. No, clearly he was not that. He's still OBJ even. But it just looked like last year, and maybe it was because everything was being forced. I don't know. I don't think that we're going to get the best OBJ, and the best OBJ is a few years in the past now.
So the reason I think that he'll be the 1,000-yard catcher or pass catcher for the Browns is because, like I said, it'll be more methodical on offense. I think Kevin Stefanski will take a slower. I feel like Freddie was always going for the home run when he was calling plays. You know what I mean? Do you guys agree at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I feel like now
100% agree.
I feel like everything that he called was kind of backwards when it came to the play calling that the Browns had last year, where it was like, we're going to force feed Odell at the start of the game because we don't want him fighting the kicking net. So all the fan base is screaming for him to run the ball while you have a 1,400-yard rusher in Nick Chubb, and then Odell would go silent for the rest of the game.
Right. Obviously we know the biggest issue with last year's team was coaching. But, we have a rookie head coach. We've learned our lesson plenty of times in Cleveland. We can't bank on even a rookie coach keeping his same philosophies of, we're sitting here saying how he's a run-heavy offensive coordinator. What if he's a pass-happy head coach? We don't know.
I think that the Kevin Stefanski hire is good news for both Nick Chubb and for Kareem Hunt. I don't think that we're going to see 2,000-yard receivers for the Cleveland Browns. I think OBJ is going to get his 1,000. I don't know if it's going to be as quiet as 1,000 as it was last year. And I don't think that we're going to get the same Jarvis Landry that we saw last year. I don't think we're going to get 1,100 yards from Jarvis Landry. I could see Jarvis Landry with 900 and change. I could see OBJ with closer to 1,200. And then Hoop probably around 800 with maybe even leading the team in receiving touchdowns.
I can see that because I think they're going to be a lot more conservative with play calling. They're going to run the ball a lot because they should. And that, in effect, will open up more opportunities for OBJ. And that's why I think he'll have the deep targets and he'll convert on a lot of the deep targets because we have more of a, we think we will have more of a dynamic offense under Stefanski.
And I think if we don't see the OBJ that we've been expecting to see with him in Cleveland, we're going to get a lot of Cleveland fans wondering if it's best for the Browns to move on from him next year.
I agree.
And he has, 3 years on his contract after this year?
And he's so expensive. Yeah. We have $30 million tied up in OBJ and Jarvis Landry.